Hello everyone and welcome back to Beatly Tones Beatles channel. Lovely to have you here. Thanks for joining me for this video and I hope you're all doing well. Now in today's video I'm going to be doing a little review of Paul's gig at Glastonbury last night, and I am absolutely buzzing after watching it. It was fantastic. Before I get into it, I just wanted to give a big welcome to all the new subscribers that have subscribed recently, and there's lots of you, so welcome to the channel. The channel does look a little bit Paul McCartney heavy at the moment, but we are a Beatles channel and we do cover the Beatles as a band and all the solo Beatles as well, but we also do news items, and because Paul is in the news at the moment with Glastonbury, that's why it's a little bit heavy. So I hope you're enjoying the content, and right, I'm going to get on with the video. So over the last couple of months I've been really closely watching the Got Back tour that's been going on in the US. I've been watching clips on YouTube of people put up their phone videos, and although phone videos are not the best thing to judge a performance on because they're on mobile phones with 2-bob processors, and their videos taken about 3 miles from the stage, they're not the best thing, but they give you a bit of an idea of what's going on. I've also been watching other YouTubers that have been to gigs giving their account of the shows, and I have to say that after watching some of those videos and listening to what the guys have been saying, I was kind of dreading Glastonbury a little bit. I was a little bit concerned because there's a couple of things that, if you don't know the Glastonbury Festival is like the biggest festival in the UK. We have it every year. It's a 3-day event on a Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and lots of bands, lots of different stages at the Glastonbury site, but most of the stuff that goes on the pyramid stage, which is the main stage, is broadcasted live on the BBC, so we can all see everything that's happening. So although that is great for fans of the band, it also means that these performances are out in the public domain. Everyone sees them and everyone is there to criticise them. And having seen Paul on the Got Back tour, I was a bit concerned about how he would be perceived by the general public, not so much by fans. If I'm absolutely honest about the things that I've seen on the Got Back tour, his voice seemed very weak, especially at the start of the tour. I think it was Spokane, which was the first concert that he did on that tour. The clips were dreadful. Were dreadful. What I will say is that I think that performances and his voice improved as the tour went on and he got used to touring again. Remember, it's been 3 years since he's been out there, and obviously it took a little bit of getting back into the swing of it, but his voice did improve as the tour went on. I will say that. One of the things that I've noticed from seeing Paul several times over the last decade or so is sort of going back to maybe about 2010-ish. At the start of a gig, he's always needed about 4 or 5 songs to really get his vocals going. They're always a little bit rusty at the start of a gig, and that's why it was a really bad decision for him to do things like the Queen's Golden Jubilee and the Olympic Games opening ceremony back in 2012, where he was only doing 1 song or 2 songs. He just couldn't get his vocals going at those gigs at all, and he sounded terrible, and he got absolutely hammered on social media for those gigs. On the Got Back tour, he started every gig with Can't Buy Me Love. Now, Can't Buy Me Love, I think, is a really difficult song to start with. And the reason why I think it's a difficult song to start with is because the vocals come in on beat 1 of the song. So there's no instrumental intro before the vocals come in where he gets a chance to, pitch his vocals, ready to come in. He's got to be bang on the money right from beat one, and it's a really difficult song. And looking at the clips that I've seen from the Got Back tour of him doing Can't Buy Me Love, I have to say that I can't recall a single performance of Can't Buy Me Love that was any good at all, or should I say, you know, something that Paul would have been proud of or lives up to his standards. So it was really quite surprising that when he started this gig with Can't Buy Me Love, he was absolutely bang on the money and nailed it. And I thought, whoa, there's something different here, and this is really great. And my sort of fears about Glastonbury kind of disappeared out the window very, very quickly indeed. He really did nail Can't Buy Me Love, which was great to see. He then went into Junior's Farm, which is another song that he struggled with on the Got Back tour, but I'm really glad that it's back in the set because it's a song that I love. And again, he absolutely nailed it. So this was a really good start. At the end of Junior's Farm, Paul went to the front of the stage, said hello to the audience, and started talking about the fact that they were supposed to be there 3 years ago. And spontaneously, the crowd burst into Happy Birthday to You, which they sang to Paul, and he was sort of kind of taken back with it. Now, I did have a clip of that in the original cut of this video, but YouTube have blocked it, so I've had to go back, take the clip out and remake the links where the clips were. So that's one of the reasons why it's taken me so long to get this video out, so I'm sorry about that. But it was a really lovely moment, and I'm sorry you can't all see it. The crowd, who I have to say were with him from the very first minute of this gig right until the end. And you've got to remember that the audience at Glastonbury are not Paul's audience, you know, because when tickets for Glastonbury go on sale, nobody knows who's going to be on the bill. You know, people apply for tickets just because they want to be at Glastonbury. They don't know who they're going to see, and that comes much later. So obviously, it's a much younger crowd than he's used to having. But like I say, they were with him all the way through this gig, which was lovely to see. So the set was pretty much the same as the Got Back tour. There was a couple of omissions. He didn't do Jet, which he was doing towards the end of the Got Back tour, and he didn't do Birthday, probably because his birthday had been and gone, but he did do a couple of extra songs, which I'll come to a little bit later. So the set sort of progressed with Letting Go and Got to Get You Into My Life, which were both great and really enhanced by the fact that he had a live horn section. He hasn't had that for a little while. Come On To Me was no problem at all for him, as was For You and My Valentine, because all those songs were written for his old man voice, so he doesn't have a problem singing those at all. Let Me Roll It, he struggled a little bit with the verse of Let Me Roll It, but once the song got into the chorus, he was there and it was great. I really enjoyed Getting Better. Loved Let 'Em In, that was great to hear that. And 1985 is always fantastic to hear. Just always love that song. Maybe I'm Amazed, he struggled a little bit at the start of the song, and I think this is the thing. I think where he struggles is where his voice sounds its most vulnerable, is where it's just him and maybe one instrument, be it a piano like it is in Maybe I'm Amazed, or you know, where he's standing up front just with an acoustic guitar doing things like Blackbird or Here Today or something like that. You do hear the frailty in his voice. But on Maybe I'm Amazed, once he got into the meat and potatoes of the song, where he's just really belting it out and going for it, it was great. The band were absolutely fantastic as usual. Rusty and Brian Ray giving fantastic support with backing vocals, and Abe was just absolutely amazing on the drums. So when you see it on the BBC, you've got a camera angle on, you know, on everyone, and some of the stuff that Abe was doing on the drums was just absolutely phenomenal. You don't really notice it so much when you're at the gigs, but when you see it on the TV up close, just superb. Blackbird and Here Today, like I said, were you hear the vulnerability in his voice, and I'm not sure that it matters too much on Here Today because of the nature of that song. It's such an emotional song. You can almost take the frailty in his voice to be the emotion in his voice, if you know what I mean. His voice hasn't got the tone and the texture that it did have when he was a younger man. But he's missing a few notes. But not many. He's hitting most of them. I don't want to gloss over it. I mean, the man is 80 years old, and his voice is not the same as when he was 20. I mean, anyone that expects that is just out of their mind. I mean, it's just a ridiculous notion. If you think about your own voice when you were 20 and how it is now, it's not the same unless you're still 20, of course. So back to the highlights of the set. I thought Something was absolutely outstanding. I absolutely loved it, and so did the audience. They really liked it. Obla Di Obla Da, which is not one of my favourite songs, but it went down really well with the crowd. He got them singing along. Then we got Get Back, which of course is very topical, and then he brings out Dave Grohl. Now Dave Grohl comes on to rapturous applause. They do I Saw Her Standing There, which he didn't do on the Got Back tour, and Band on the Run together. Then off he goes. Bruce Springsteen comes on. I'm not a big fan of Bruce Springsteen, to be honest, but I did really enjoy Glory Days, and they did I Want to Be Your Man together, which was really great. And then we get into the back end of the set where he does Let It Be, Live and Let Die, with all the fireworks and the lasers and the explosions, and the crowd absolutely loved that. And of course, with the fireworks, it looked really great because it's going into a night sky and it's outdoors and all the rest of it. And then he does Hey Jude. Now, I just want to say something about the set. Now, when the Got Back tour was first announced, a lot of YouTubers that have Beatles channels were moaning about the set, saying it's very staid, it's very boring, he's not doing anything new. And I totally understand that. As someone that has been to a lot of Paul McCartney gigs, there's nothing we'd like more than to see him do a few deep cuts and a few things that he hasn't done before, but not for this type of gig. This type of gig is, he's not playing to his audience, and people are seeing him for the first time, and that's how Paul thinks about his set. He's he treats all his gigs as if people are seeing him for the first time, and in the large part they are, and certainly at Glastonbury the large part of that audience were. If you're seeing him for the first time and he doesn't do Hey Jude and Let It Be, you're going to feel like you've been a little bit shortchanged, I think. And I just think Paul is better at picking set lists than we are, because he knows his audience better than we do. And if anyone's wondering why he still does Hey Jude at every single gig, here's 200,000 reasons why. At this point in the original video, I cut to a clip of the huge crowd na-na-na into Hey Jude, which really was a sight to behold. It was just unbelievable. Just people of all ages really connecting with Hey Jude, and I guess that's the reason why he keeps it in the set all the time. I'm really sorry that this clip, I'm really sorry I can't show this clip, because it would have made the video so much better. So at the end of Hey Jude, he does the usual waving goodbye, and the band troop off the stage. But instead of the crowd shouting for more, like in any other gig I've ever been to in my life, this happened. At this point in my original video, I had a clip of the crowd who, throughout the whole time the band were off the stage, after they went off after Hey Jude and before they came back for the encore, just sang Hey Jude continuously, which is something I've never seen happen before at a gig. And again, I apologise that I can't show the clip. Glastonbury. So he came back after the encore. I've Got a Feeling with the John Lennon thing behind him, which was great to see that. At the end of I've Got a Feeling, and again, this was a clip that I had in my original video that I wanted to show you. Paul was visibly moved, and he said that that was unbelievable for me. He said, I know it's virtual, but here I am singing with John again, we're back together again. And then it kind of cut to some, young people in the crowd who you could also see were really moved by that little bit of technology. That he did Helter Skelter, and he finished off with the Golden Slumbers, Carry That Weight, the end medley, which was absolutely immaculate. It was fantastic. He brought out Dave Grohl and he brought out Bruce Springsteen to play solos during the end, the bit where they all trade guitar licks, and Paul was pointing to Rusty Anderson and pointing to Brian Ray and pointing to Bruce Springsteen and pointing to Dave Grohl when it was their turn to do a little solo, and it was absolutely great. So just summing up, I just wanted to say that Paul has gone out there at 80 years of age and he's delivered a fantastic set. He's had a whole generation of new fans on his side right from the word go. He's given a performance, a memorable performance, and he's really done himself proud, I think, and he's given us a little bit of pride back in him, I think, and he's stuck a massive two fingers up at all the naysayers. But when you actually think of a man of 80 years of age going out and delivering a performance like that, it really does, beg a belief, really. He's played music for almost 3 hours, and when I think about what my dad was capable of doing at 80 years old, it kind of puts it into perspective. And most blokes of 80 years old can't even stand up for 10 minutes without needing to go for a wee. So he really has given us something great. I'm absolutely delighted for him, and I loved it. I loved it from start to finish. Now, before the gig, as I said, I was kind of dreading it. I thought that Twitter was going to go into meltdown, and it did go into meltdown, but it went into meltdown in a positive way, not in the negative way that I was expecting. All the newspapers here in Britain are giving it glowing reports, declaring it, an absolute triumph. So I just wanted to show you some of the tweets that I found. Just to give you a little flavour of what people were saying, and it's not just Beatley Tone glossing over it and giving you a sugar-coated view of the gig and saying it was really great when it wasn't all that. I just put Paul McCartney into Twitter just to see what would come up. I've tried to avoid any tweets where the profile picture is like a Beatles, profile picture. So I'm trying to get the views of people that were neutral. So let's just have a look at some of these tweets. Paul McCartney's Glastonbury 2022 show is possibly the best we've ever seen. The Rock Revival said, absolutely unbelievable set from a man who's been around from the 60s, had the crowd in the palm of his hands for over 2 hours without even breaking sweat. What a man. At 80, Paul McCartney plays for 2.5 hours, slays Helter Skelter, casually brings out Dave Grohl and Bruce Springsteen, and all with the energy of a 20-year-old. He's the greatest of all time. One criticising Paul McCartney tonight can fuck right off. He's 80 and he's the most culturally important bloke this country has produced in 100 years. He's beyond criticism, so bollocks off. Surely this goes down as the greatest Glastonbury set of all time. Dave Grohl, Bruce Springsteen and so many Beatles classics. Nearly 3 hours. The tech with John was incredible. The encore absolutely perfect. So Paul McCartney, so jealous of everyone there tonight. Much as I hate to agree with anything Piers Morgan ever says, he said, Sir Paul McCartney rocking Glastonbury at nearly midnight at the age of 80, playing some of the greatest songs in music history with the enthusiasm of a teenager. Brilliant. Paul McCartney has pulled off the greatest set at Glastonbury in living memory. Genius. What an absolutely brilliant performance from Paul McCartney. Nearly 3 hours on stage and didn't need an auto cue for the words, unlike most performers, and he's 80. Best Glastonbury performance I've ever seen. Fantastic. Oh, Paul McCartney, that was bloody brilliant. A near 3 hour set, guest appearances by Dave Grohl and Bruce Springsteen, and Helter Skelter and Golden Slumbers carry that way at the end in the encore. Just an absolutely amazing Glasto set. We may never see another set like this. Treasure it, remember it, and celebrate just how fucking incredible Sir Paul McCartney is. McCartney, 80 years old, 2.5 hours, 40 songs, many of them the greatest pop songs ever written, half a dozen instruments, audience in the palm of his hand, no gimmicks, special guests aside, just personality, musicianship and showmanship. That's how you headline. And finish with a couple of funny ones. Paul McCartney is 80 years old and is currently on stage rocking it at Glastonbury. My wife is 40 years old and she's gone to bed as it's quite late. I bet the bloke who replaced Paul McCartney when he died in 1966 didn't think he'd have to keep it up this long. So that's pretty much all there is from me. I am absolutely gutted that YouTube have blocked my little clips because I really wanted to give you a flavour of what went on at Glastonbury because it was just so brilliant. So I'm really sorry about that. And but thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Macca, you played an absolute blinder. If you did manage to see the show, do tell me about it in the comments, what you thought about it in the comments. That'd be absolutely fantastic. And my next video, I'm going to attempt to whittle down the tracks from McCartney 1, 2 and 3 into one fantastic album. So that's not going to be an easy task, but please join me for that video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye.